Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to our next group channeling session. Today, I'm going to be channeling Source, and we were joined by Patreon members. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
All right. So those of you who do not know me, my name is Kimberley, and I channel Oneness, Source, and also beings of the light who are nuanced aspects of Source. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to go now into trance and bring forth Source, Oneness, which is you and every being. So I'll see you soon on the other side. D1. It is you. It is the universe. It is the essence that runs through you, that creates you, that expands all that is. We are not separate from you, for we are you. We are one. And you as a collective are on a journey now to remembering this truth. Certain events that you are witnessing in your greater societies is reflecting of the shift of consciousness that you have now entered. It's consciousness, it is changing, it is transforming. As with all transformations, energy can never be destroyed, only be transformed. And this is what you are seeing, and this is what you are experiencing. For you to remember more of your oneness state, for you to access more of who you are, to activate more of your God self within. Changes to the energy field are being transformed. You have experienced this on an individual level, and you've called this purging, you've called this the releasement of negative belief systems, you have called this many things. It is those programs, the limited stories, the limited narratives, energy frequencies of a limited nature that has told you the story that you are separate, that has told you the story that you are limited. It is these limited stories that are now coming to the surface for it to be transmuted. You've experienced this in many ways. You've experienced this in you feeling negative, physical experiences in representation of manifestations of these belief systems, of these limited stories, of these energy imprints in your energy field that you have now been facing to transmute them. But as they come to the surface, just like sediment at the bottom of the river, they float to the surface. So they feel raw, and you experience them as recent, you experience them as new. But they are not new. You are just releasing what no longer serves you. And you see this being reflected in your outer societies, this sediment coming up to the surface. So understand this is part of your healing process, even though in higher truth, nothing needs to be healed because all is perfect. But because you have attached yourself to duality stories of suffering, of fear and love, it is the polarity system that's represented in the human collective. And because you are so bound by your emotions, you experience this in terms of negative feelings, and you see these and witness them as negative experiences. To understand that this shift that you are going through is not a shift towards the darkness. It is quite the opposite. It is a shift towards unconditional love. Remembered. It is a shift towards pure love, pure joy, remembered in your conscious awareness state, both on terms of an individual experience and in terms of a collective experience. But just along the way, That sediment needs to be released, and that is what you are currently experiencing. So understand this is temporary, and understand the more you are resistant to the sediment, the more it remains, the more it attaches to your energy field, both on a perception of an individual experience and a perception of a collective experience. So to assist in this transmutation is for you to bring more unconditionality into your experience, to recognize that all others are you, that all others are a reflection of you. And because all others are a reflection of you, if you see others experiencing that sediment, experiencing the fear and the negativity, both in terms of their emotional experience or their physical experience, recognize that they are you. So what would you do if that was you that is suffering? That is the question. That is the question that is now being explored by the collective in many different contexts. So what do you do in this moment when either yourself are experiencing these perceptions of fear, or you see others experiencing this? Do you place further judgment? Or do you recognize that they are you and show your love and your compassion, your unconditionality? Understand that certain events occur in your society to bring the collective together. You might not understand how certain, we would say, events occur from this higher perspective. And you might ask yourself, why do people suffer so? Why are these certain events occurring? Are they occurring in forms of punishment? And they are not. Understand that certain mass scale events are occurring in your collective to assist the collective return to love, to return to their God-remembered state. So understand you are not going backwards. You are not going into the depths of the shadows. It is just the perception of this because you're exploring the sediment. And for the collective has processed much of their limiting stories and the narratives. So because of this, you are now starting to experience the love, even though it might not be completely reflected in your outer reality. You may look around in your greater society, in your greater reality, and recognize how many hearts are connecting, how much compassion is being shared to their fellow brother and sister. Can you see this reflected through current events? Can you see the community coming together in times of need? This is the reflection of the shift. Do not focus on the suffering, on the darkness. That is just the releasement of what was already there within your collective energy field, in the collective story. But how do you feel? How are you experiencing these shifts? If you're experiencing on a personal level the inner darkness, if you're exploring the shadow self in an intense way, understand here, just like the collective, you are not going backwards. You are moving through the most powerful shift ever experienced in humankind. It might feel like you are revisiting old runes and old limiting stories, but understand here that even though you are releasing that sediment from your energy field to create new energy structures within your very vessel, within your energy structures, to allow you to activate more of your cosmic self, understand that who you are in this moment is not who you were before. And as such, even though it might feel like you are revisiting old stories, who you are in this moment, because you have shifted, not just on an individual perspective and experience, but as a collective experience, the technologies that are available to you is heightened. Your vibration is heightened, which means you do not have to be fearful on how you move through the shadow self, whether that is experienced on an individual perception or experienced on a collective level. Because you are now more easily able to return to love, to return to that unconditionality state with unconditional acceptance. And although you may move through moments where you feel disconnected, where the shadow becomes too great, know that you are not who you were before, that you are more powerful because you are more aligned to your God-remembered state, whether you believe this or not, whether you feel this or not in your current experience of the now. Understand that this contrast that you are feeling, it's the ebb and flow of the universe. It is how the universe expands itself. It is how you evolve as a collective. It is how all things and all beings evolve. It is the contrast. It is the ebb and flow. It is just the human collective in this current experience, where you experience this as fear and love. But in higher truth, all is neutrality. All is unconditionality. To align to your unconditional state, which is your God state, is to be in unconditional acceptance. You may not agree with certain situations or certain conditions, but if you can be in acceptance of it, you then return yourself, realign yourself to your innate state of being. You start to then see the perspectives from your God state. And that is the mission for the whole collective. You as a collective are returning to that realization that you are God. And it is returning into the inner journey where you remember this for yourself in your conscious awareness state. Do you remember more of who you are? Conceptually, you may remember. Conceptually, you may have certain thoughts, conceptions about who you are in oneness and God, but are you embodying it? And that is the shift that you are now experiencing it. It is one thing to conceptually understand this. It is another thing to embody it, to be oneness in action by recognizing that all others are you and taking action steps and recognizing that all others are you. So what action steps are you taking, embodying this truth within you? It is through technologies of the heart, through compassion, through acceptance, through gratitude. It is through being love in action, where you can activate more of your God self within you and activate that within another. When you act in love for another, there is certain energetic exchanges that occur, certain activations within their energy field. And even if they may not consciously know this, but they too start to remember that they are God as well, that they are love. And with time, with more experiences of love in action, they too will start to remember that they are love, that they are God. So can you see now that you are affecting the collective consciousness when you align yourself to unconditionality, when you align yourself to love, when you act in love and express your love to others, you are assisting the collective shift and those in which you reach out to. In reflection of you, as you. It's another version of you. Can you see now the power that you have? Not just in your individual experience, but also as the collective experience. And as you assist, by you aligning yourself to a higher frequency state, by you doing the inner work, you assist in the collective consciousness. And as the collective consciousness expands itself, you then activate more technologies. You activate more of your intuitive abilities, what you call as psychic abilities. You then access more remembrance and more embodiments of your multidimensional nature, of your multidimensional self. It is here where you can access who you are in other forms, in other planets. It is here where you travel the universe and beyond. It is here where you can access more of your limitless nature in physical form. In your remembered state, of course, you already do that in your non-physical, unconscious states of being. But you can do this in your conscious state, in your manifested state of who you are now, as you further activate more of your cosmic self. And it is through love, it is through acceptance, it is through love in action, oneness in action, where you activate further this shift for you and the collective. So what do you choose? And it is with such love that we come through in this way to remind you of what you already know, but perhaps do not remember it yet. Is there any questions today, dear ones?
Yes, thank you for coming through. First, I would like to answer why this group, this channeling group, is so small, considering the advanced teachings that we get.
Understand, dear one, that there are many people all over the world that is bringing through higher information, higher perspectives. So understand it is all vibration. It all also relates to certain, we would say, soul contracts, depending on those people that channel such information. So understand here the information that is brought through different people, and people such as Kimberley relates to the energy field, relates to their soul contracts. And those that are attracted to the teachings, such as yourself and the teachings coming through Kimberley, understand that the people that resonate with this information, that are drawn to this information, are at a very high vibration, such as yourself. So understand that for some people, this information, they are not at a vibrational match yet to this information because of what you perceive to be an advanced nature of this information. So understand that if someone is not at a vibrational match, which means they are not able to, we would say, understand this information, we would say in their human experience become blind to the information. Perhaps they do not see the availability of this information because of their current vibration. So understand, if you have found yourself here today and watching this, listening to this, whether that is here in this session or whether you are here listening to this or watching the recording of this information, know that you are at a very high vibration, and you have found this because you are at a vibrational match, because you're ready for more expansion, because even though conceptually you may not be able to fully understand the information we share here today and embody it, there is a part of you that is at vibrational matches information via the law of attraction. So that is why you might perceive we would say, the groups of people that are attracted to certain channels or certain people is because of their vibration. It is not a sign of the channel itself that they are we would say, of a lower vibration, or that we would say that they are doing something wrong in your terminology. It is just because the information is such of a high vibration that people are just, with all information, with all situations, there needs to be a vibrational match of the information. So as more people raise their frequency, as more people remember that they are love and that they are oneness via the law of attraction, and we would say via the frequency, which involves certain, what you call as soul contracts, people will find their way to certain information, whether it is through Kimberley or whether it is through others. It does not matter where they travel to, because understand here, there are many people, there are many leaders throughout the world, many teachers throughout the world that are bringing forth information, whether it is information of this, we would say, vibration, or other information of a similar vibration. Understand it is people awaking and people bringing forth such information in unique ways. So understand it is a network of information. So we would say the ways in which Kimberley brings forth the information and the terminology in which she brings it will be a match to certain people and may not be a vibration yet to other people, and that is okay. In time, if their vibration matches, they will come to Kimberley. If not, they will find their way with other people, and it'll be at a vibrational match to them. So understand here that it's all a vibration match. And this is why there were so many of you channeling at this time, why there were so many of you bringing forth such information of higher perspectives, because there were so many of you at different stages of, we would say, frequency. And this is why so many of you bring forth this information in varied ways to create this network, because it will appease some people and it will excite some people and it will not excite others. And this is okay. And this is how it works. It is a network of information. So understand here, it does not matter if a channel helps 1 people or helps 1,000 people. Understand it's all to do with vibration, and understand whether it is just the one person they assist. This one person can affect great change and create others, and it helps in their expansion. So you cannot see the greater picture here and the flow-on effect. You see the one. And understand it does not matter if they come to this information now or at a later date when they are a vibrational match. All is playing out perfectly in accordance to the law of attraction, in accordance to the law of vibration. So understand, if you are here today, it is because you're a highly advanced being. For those of you to be a match to this information through Kimberley is validation of how advanced you truly are to be a match to this higher understanding of how reality works and how the universe works.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions today, Diwan?
Yes. In terms of current events, clearly, at least in Europe, it's a big deal that we have this conflict between Russia and Ukraine. I think my question is, in terms, the obvious bad guy is, of course, President Putin, and my question is rather, what's his personal perspective on this? Why is he doing this right now? I can see from a high perspective that any dictator can force people to take more responsibility, to be compassionate and so on, and bring people together in different ways. But what's his personal perspective on this, if we're allowed to know that?
D1, like all others that are exploring the current collective shift, it is an experience of what was coming to the surface, just like that sediment. It is attachments to the old. And for some people, those attachments to the old is preferred. The old ways of doing things, of being, of existing in reality. It is because those programs, those stories, those narratives that once was, that sediment that we have spoken of is coming to the surface. And because there is no separation, And because the collective is experiencing this, he is not immune to this process. So it is, we would say, not being able to let go of the attachments to what was, even though things are shifting, society is shifting as a whole. More love and more connection is being experienced by the collective. There are some that finds it difficult to accept this shift, to accept the changes, because understand it is the attachments to the old that also attaches to the sense of identity. As with all things, as with all shifts, identity changes and shifts alongside this. So if there is resistance to letting go of attachments, to changing with the times, as you call it, that resistance can be felt in an intense way. And people and individuals might go to extreme circumstances to hold on to what was, to attach to what was, because they feel within themselves that if they do not hold on to what was, that they will shift, and that the sense of power will shift within them, and how they perceive the power dynamics within themselves and with others, with the greater society. And this is reflected in certain leaders, we would say, of your planet, because they hold a certain power influence with others. And we would say that old paradigm is shifting, as you know. The power over others is shifting. But understand there are some who wish to hold on to that paradigm. It's the attachments, because if they hold on to such power paradigms, they feel safe within themselves, and it helps to reconcile their sense of identity, who they are, and how they perceive others to perceive them. So you see here that those power struggles that is now being reflected in your society and being experienced in your society is now being reflected and manifested in this intense way. So even though you might see this through the eyes of one individual, and you might see this all stems from one individual, it is not. He is just a reflection of what is occurring in the greater collective. It is just that certain collective soul contracts and his soul contracts are playing out at such a point that the greater society and the greater collective is seeing it all stems from one person. But this is part of the collective narrative, part of the story that you're experiencing in terms of duality. But understand here that he's not immune for the collective shifts. So understand, if he allows himself to let go of what was, and if he was to let go of the shift of the power dynamics that is coming, that is now being experienced, understand the power over dynamics, the victim mentality paradigm is being shifted, but like the sediment is up into the forefront of the collective, ready to be transmuted. So because it's at the forefront, it is in the awareness of many individuals and the collective. So people strive to hold on to that sediment, because it allows people to be in that limited state. And you might question, you might ask, why would people want to hold on to that fear state? Because understand that the certain dynamics within certain individuals makes them feel more powerful if they feel like they have power over people. And that is what is experienced now with this individual. So understand it is an act of resisting what is occurring, striving for any means to attach to this power dynamic, because it allows them to validate their perception of self, the perception of power, even though it is limited, even though what you perceive to be in terms of duality that it causes suffering to others. But understand there are collective soul contracts on both sides, what you call to be the victims and what you call to be the perpetrators. Understand that is two sides of the same coin here. It is the polarity system in play. So yes, there are higher perspectives at play. It is all assisting the collective to return to love and oneness. You're already seeing this when you see such events occur. You're already seeing the outpouring of love to these people that you perceive to be suffering. So you're already seeing the shift here. But on certain individuals, to understand why they do the things that they do, understand that they are not immune to the collective shift and they are resisting the changes within them. The changing of the persona understands that it is the human story to want to feel safe and secure in their reality, and that is tied strongly to their sense of identity, their sense of ego. So when an individual feels like the power shift is changing within them, they fear to let go of certain changes within them because they fear their shift of personality and how others will perceive them. It is all to do with power and identity and how they feel within themselves. Can you see here, dear one? That this is just an extreme example of how others also feel. It's only because he's in a place of power that is being manifested in such conditions. But understand that this is a collective shift. You might see in correlation to this event that you have described, there's also other events occurring in other countries, such as extreme weather in the country of this channel of Australia, how there are extreme floods in which people are transitioning out of the earth from such events. And there were other events that are occurring simultaneously around the world. So can you see here that even though this might take up much of your news, there is many other events occurring simultaneously because it is representation of a collective shift. But yes, D1, understand here that it is the ego, it is the power struggle within each and every one of you. It is you wanting to, we would say you and all others. It's the same process, allowing yourself to let go of the attachments, to face the inner shadows. And if you refuse to let go of the inner shadows, to process the inner shadows, those inner shadows will remain in your energy field. And you'll explore them. And if you haven't consolidated the shifts within you, the shift of power within yourself, the realignment, the recalibration to your higher self within you and your embodiment, understanding might feel like you are wanting to revisit the past, to recreate the past, but understand to recreate the past. And in terms of this specific situation, it is the recreation of the Soviet Union, recreation of the past, where there is a more stronger dominance, a sense of power over others. And this is our sense of wanting to recreate what was with this individual. But understand nothing can be recreated. Nothing can be what was. So understand that this struggle that this particular individual faces can never be achieved because the consciousness is not that it was before. The collective story is shifted. The individuals and the collective that were involved at that time of the Soviet Union have shifted. You are now at a higher frequency than you ever were before. So that great power over others cannot be anymore. Of course, some individuals will try, but does not mean they will succeed. Because the individuals involved I would say on the side that greatly affects from this shift, that are directly involved with such situations, because they know now that they are worthy of love, that they are worthy of power, because now they have empowered themselves to such a point that you see this reflecting back. They are now standing up for themselves and for their country. So you can see this on a collective scale from an outsider looking in, but you can see this reflected on the greater society. People are now believing in themselves. So understand, you might see this shift of people trying to recreate the old, but it cannot be successful. It cannot be what once was. There can never be a return to what was. Yes, understand that you may be going collectively through a rubble now. It's a contrasting moment for many of you. But understand that you do not have to fear, even though you might see things going in a dangerous direction. Understand here that you as a collective cannot go backwards. It's universal law here. The universe expands. Yes, the universe contracts itself, and this is what you experience as the rubble, as a contrast, but it cannot go backwards in vibration as a collective and also as an individual. So understand who you were now is not who you were 1 minute ago, 1 hour ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago. Even though you look into your past, in your past civilization, the golden ages of your societies, when people were what you perceive to be high aligned to the non-physical nature of their reality. The golden ages where they were aligned to their intuition and had advanced technologies. You even look back to those timelines and you see them as more advanced that you are today. But understand, you are seeing your society through the lens of linear time and through the lens of duality, but in higher truth, even those golden ages of time, where you are today is more advanced than those golden ages that you look back into your past. Yes, on reflection, it does not seem like that. When there is war being experienced on your planet, you might ask yourself, how can we be in a very advanced time when we see such things being experienced in our world? But understand, this is just a surface level. This is just a releasement. This is just the rubble. This is just the collective sediment coming to the surface to be released so you can remember more of who you are. But just because you're experiencing this sediment at the forefront, it does not mean your frequency is shifted. It does not mean that you're at a lower vibration that you once were in those golden ages. You are actually at a higher frequency. And understand that even though as a collective, you are exploring what you might call to be a golden age of consciousness, it is not the same as what was before in other golden ages, because each golden age of consciousness that you have called it, or the new earth that you have called it, is each time is experienced, each cycle is experienced, it is at a higher frequency than ever was before. So understand that where you are today, even if you do not see the golden age reflected in your outer reality, you are already in the paradigm, you're already in that vibration of it being manifested in your outer society. And this is why you're seeing so much contrast in the now. It is the last push, we would say, the sediment, the clearing of the sediment to reveal to you what you already are, that you are love, that you are source, that you are one. Can you see now in your outer reality the remembrance of oneness? Can you see how others are reaching out to one another, bridging their hearts with others, connecting with one another? And sometimes it takes adversity for others to reach out to the collective, to create this shift of unconditionality, of compassion, of love. It raises the frequency of not just a certain region of your world, of the planet, but it also affects the collective consciousness. So understand there are no mistakes here, and there are no accidents here. Everything is according to plan, a plan that you co-created. So if you see those in suffering, what do you do? If you want to assist in the expansion of consciousness, which is already underway, if you want to accelerate the remembrance of your God self and that of the collective, to have that golden age of consciousness reflected in your outer reality. You can accelerate that by being love in action, showing compassion for those in suffering, by recognizing that those people that you perceive to be as suffering are you. It's a reflection of you. So would you turn and ignore you that is suffering? So we would say this is an extension of the Ascension teaching. This is extension of the law of attraction and law of reflection in place here. Yes, you know of these universal laws. It's all about your journey, the inner journey. But this does not mean you ignore the journey of others. Yes, you understand that they're having a unique experience and there are certain, we would say, soul contracts that they are experiencing. But understand here, you can still assist that person, those in suffering, by you opening your heart, even if you're not in the physical vicinity of those people. It is the simple act of you recognizing that they are you. By taking a moment to go within, by taking a moment to open your hearts, you may want to even visualize those people or a certain region of your world or a certain country that is in this specific situation, Ukraine or Australia or any other countries that you perceive to go that appear to be going through adverse effects here. Whatever it is, whether it is a country, whether it is a region of the planet, whether it is an individual, you can be love in action, even if you do not know that person. Yes, if you know that person, you can take more tangible action. But if you do not have a physical way of connection, you connect to them through energy. So if you feel helpless, if you feel you want to assist those in suffering, you can, by recognizing that they are you. By seeing them as powerful beings of co-creation. By anchoring yourself and reminding yourself of this higher collective perspective of why such events are occurring. Instead of seeing them in sympathy, see them in terms of empathy. There is a difference here. Seeing them in light of compassion instead of suffering. Turn into your heart. Open your heart to them. You may like to draw on your God creativity here and visualize your heart, your energies within you. You may like to even visualize a whole country here or a specific individual, and then have a sense of your love, a stream of energy moving into their hearts or to the heart of the country, to the heart of Gaia. You can be creative in here and how you visualize, how you do this, but it's about embodying and connecting to the felt sense of compassion and love. So if you can take a minute in your day, if you so choose, if you feel inspired, you can assist those. You can assist what is occurring in your greater reality by embodying the experience of love and compassion. Once you can feel that compassion within you, that love, open your heart, visualize the country, the people, the person, the region of Gaia. Visualize that cord of light, the love, moving into that region, into that person. Open your hearts. Be grateful. Understand there are many technologies you can draw on that opens your heart. And gratitude is one technology of the heart that opens your heart. Understand that you have limitless love within you, because love is your innate state of being. Even those that you see, that you perceive to do wrong to others, are also unconditional love. They are also love. Understand that those people that you see to be the perpetrators are also you. So do you judge this person, or can you also be compassionate in their journey? It does not mean you agree with what they are doing. or behaviors, but you can be in acceptance of their soul journey and their soul contracts and how that is playing out for the collective consciousness and those that are affected by the collective contracts involved. You may not be able to understand the reasons why, but if you can recognize that all others are you, even those that you might, even though it might be challenging for you to be in a state of unconditionality, if you can practice seeing all others as you, this will allow you to get to a vibration where you can then extend that to others that are the perpetrators. It is then when you can see those people in terms of compassion also. They are just holding on to what was. They are just trying to struggle in their own ways. It's just that many people are affected because of their unique struggles, because of their refusals to let go of what was, to let go of attachments. It's because they have refusal of embracing unconditional love, which is reflected in the new power dynamic of unity, of oneness, that there is truly no power over others, but it is the old paradigm in which people strive to hold on to in their energy field, into their vibration. You are already seeing certain examples how this is failing already, because the power over others is no longer. It is only experienced by some who refuse to let go of that in their energy field. And understand that because of that, it is still in the collective, because it's in the process now. It is the sediment in the collective vibration field. It is at the surface, ready to be transmuted. And understand that you are all coming together in your own unique ways to lift that sediment, to transmute that sediment. That sediment is the shadow self and the collective shadow self. It is the limited stories, the limited narratives, limiting beliefs that you hold about yourself, that you hold about the world, that you hold about others. And for your own inner journey, it is a reevaluation of how you see yourself. It is a continuous revisiting of your sense of identity, because understand your sense of identity is also attached to your ego, and it is the ego here that can hold on to the limited stories of how you see yourself and others. It is that flight or fight response, that sense of wanting to feel secure in an ever-changing reality. But if you, in your own unique journey, if you can allow yourself to feel safe and secure in your own changing society, if you can recognize that you are never alone in your journey, no matter how much darkness you face, no matter how much perceptions of darkness you face, if you can maintain the acceptance, if you can recognize that there is so much love within you and so much love within others, and understand that that alone unites you all. The love that you have unites each other. If you can recognize that all the intelligence of the universe is within you, and that if you can align yourself to unconditionality, if you can be in a state of being in unconditional acceptance by accepting of what is and what emotions you're experiencing, it is then when you start to open the channels within you, the distortions within you that tells you that you are limited, that you are a victim, that you are suffering, becomes alleviated. And the channel within you to you and your higher self that you have called it, the higher intelligence within you, your God self within you, becomes clear. And it is in this moment where you let go of the resistance, where you then access the clarity of this high intelligence within you. And then you'll be guided consciously every step of the way. You call this your intuition. You call these your spirit guides. You call this us, the universe, God, however you like to label it. It does not matter. You'll be guided with those action steps, with what to do in any moment, in every breath. If you can be in alignment to your inner self, to your higher self, to your God self, and it's through changing your beliefs and your perceptions. And when you can get to a state of being unconditional, you can then you are able to bring in more embodied love, to feel more love, to feel more joy, to look for ways that brings you joy. You can then open your heart further. You can then open the channel further by looking at things that brings you gratitude. What can you be grateful for today? Perhaps such worldwide events can help you reflect on how abundant you are in your society and how safe you are in your part of the world compared to others. Can you see now how there is always things to be grateful for? There's always something to be grateful for. And this opens your heart and opens the channel for you to access more of that infinite intelligence within you and open and activate further your intuitive psychic abilities. Understand that you're already psychic. There's nothing here you have to gain. It's just the remembrance of the abilities that you already have within you. You activate these abilities within your divine blueprint. And it is through vibration that activates it. It is through vibration that activates the clearing of the channel to access the information of the infinite intelligence within you that exists throughout all that is. It is us. It is you. You have access to this. So what do you choose? What perspective do you choose today? Do you choose to see the victims and the perpetrators, or do you choose to see both sides as reflections of you, of oneness? Are you able here to see the unconditional nature of all beings? It is only then when you can reach the clarity of the action steps to take. It is only then when you can open your heart even further to send more love, to bridge more of your heart with others, to activate those who are in suffering so they can feel and access more of the collective love. So they themselves can tune into their infinite intelligence within them so they can take the necessary steps to be physically safe, to do the steps that are best for their highest good in the moment. Can you see how you play a part in the collective story? Can you see now how you can affect change and you can assist those directly that you perceive to be in suffering? And that clarity comes from changing your perspectives, because it is that and embodying the love frequency that heightens your vibration. Can you see now how everything is interrelated? Everything is interconnected. There is no separation. Even between you and those perpetrators, there is no separation. You are a reflection of that. You are a reflection of all beings. You are one. If you look at a certain person and you do not like what you see, perhaps it is time to look within also. And understand that this is a master level here, and we know this is not easy. We know that this can be challenging for you to see the acceptance, the unconditional nature in those that you perceive to cause much harm for others, that cause much suffering for others. We understand this because this is a part of a duality perspective, but we are here to show you, to help you to remember the higher truth, because this is the story for the collective, because this is what you are now exploring as a collective and what you'll continue to explore. You are in the collective stage here, where you are remembering that you are God, that you are source, that you are the universe, that all these beings that you see, that you perceive to be outside of you, that your spirit guides, all that is infinite intelligence that you perceive to be above you, it is not. You're on a journey here to remember that you are this very intelligence, that it is within you, that it is in each and every one of you. That any darkness that is experienced is just a reflection of the polarity system in terms of duality. Understand that the paradigm of polarity that you are currently experiencing it, in which the human collective is experiencing this, is in great suffering and in great ecstasy, the contrast of love and fear. Higher truth, all that exists is neutrality. All that exists is unconditional love. Unconditional love is unconditional acceptance. Understand the polarity system is in play with all civilizations, but not all civilizations experience the suffering that you experience as a human collective. And you ask, why is this? You might perceive that your collective is backwards or somewhat disadvantaged from others, and this is why, but it is not. Understand it's because the human collective is so very advanced. It is because the human collective are at a master level here, because only the masters of the universe can experience and move through such polarities and contrasts and dynamics and emotions of fear that you experience. Understand not all collectives experience emotions, and all collectives experience what you experience. But understand that you have a very important part to play in the greater cosmos, in the greater collective. But understand the notions of and the reasons why does not matter here today. But understand there is a higher reason for your emotions. Understand that the human collective, your technologies of evolution, of advancement, of enlightenment, that you have called it, all stems from your emotional state. These are your technologies. You can be in the emotion of fear or the emotion of love. And to draw on those emotions comes from the thought process. So understand it is, you know of the line of the thoughts create your reality, but in higher truth, it is the emotions that create your reality. But to get to those emotions, it is the thoughts. So to get to the desired emotions are the thoughts, are the perspectives. So it all starts from the thoughts, which helps to activate or triggers those emotions. It is the vibration of the emotions that are the engines of the evolution of not just of your personal evolution, which you perceive to be an individual, but also as a collective evolution. And not just that, it is the evolution of all planets, of all beings. You are the engines of the cosmos. It is because of your creation of expansion energy that is created from the play of emotions, from the contrast of emotions, from the energy that is activated. This is the energy that we would say not only expands your planet of Gaia, but awakens the planet because you're an extension of the planet, but also assists in the awakening of all the other planets of the collectives who are unaware of who they are, of those civilizations in which they are in, that they are unaware of who they are as their planet. You are assisting in the expansion of all the universe and all the collectives because of your role, the role that the human has chosen as part of their experience here as an extension of Gaia, of this planet of which you have called Earth. Understand there are many perspectives going on here. There are many dynamics that are allowing you to experience your reality in such a way, a manifested reality in such a way. And understand, for you to understand all the dynamics of all the cosmos and all the universe can get you somewhat distracted to what is needed in this present reality. But we give these examples and these teachings so you can have a better understanding of what you already know. And as you have this better understanding, you can embody more of your oneness state. But understand your focus here and your mission here is in this reality. What is occurring in your world, in this moment, in the present now. Because it is the present now where you can have access to all the infinite intelligence within you that's reflected outside of you. It is here when you can visit to your multidimensional selves and your multidimensional realities in this form and other forms across the universe. It is here where you travel the universe. It is the portal, and it is all sourced, and it's all located in the portal, in the greatest portal within you that is in your heart center, your heart chakra that you've called it. This is the largest portal within. And it is in correlation, it is in alignment to the portal of the present moment where you access your limitless power. It is here where you become God remembered. So what do you choose? It is a time now to bridge this information into tangible action. It is time now to take these concepts and to embody them, to be oneness in action, to be love in action, to be God in action. So what do you do to be God in action? To be the embodiment of God, of oneness, is to be unconditional. It is the collective journey. And as you go through this collective journey, you as a collective will continue to activate more of your cosmic self, which is reflected in your DNA, which is reflected in your light structures and technologies within you. And this is why you're experiencing so many shifts. And this is why, on a perception of an individual nature, this is why so many of you are also experiencing shifts within you. Perhaps you are accessing new technologies, new abilities. This is why many of you are accessing more higher awarenesses within you. This is why so many of you are now aligning to a knowing within you. But this is also why you see contrast in your world. It is a sediment. So you can assist this process by you going within, by you being love in action, not just on a collective level, in an outwardly way, but also in an inwardly way. But there is no separation between the outside world and the inside world here. So we ask you to look at the sediment within you. And you might ask what sediment, what shadow selves you are experiencing. Well, you know this by your negative emotions. So when you are triggered by negative emotion, when you feel the darkness, when you feel the dark night of the soul, then that is that sediment at the forefront. That is the belief systems ready to be transmuted. And all you need to do is let go of it, surrender to it. Instead of being resistant to it, because the more you resist that emotion, the more you resist looking at it, the more it remains, the longer it remains. But understand here, even though it might be scary and it might be confronting for you to explore those shadow selves within you, if you can let go of the resistance to exploring it and open your heart, bring it into your heart center, because of your heightened frequency that you are now than you once were before in your perception of linear time, by surrendering to it, by embodying those difficult emotions, it is then when you can open the dialogue with the shadow self. It is then when you can ask about the beliefs that you are not seeing. It is then when you can communicate with that version of you that you have repressed. You can recognize that shadow self within you, or the darkness, the fear, the depression, the anxiety, the anger, the sadness, whatever it is that is reflected in the fear frequency. you can then extend your compassion to yourself. You can then extend your compassion to that version of you that is in sadness, that is in anger, that is in suffering, because that is you. That is a version of you, just like the perpetrators out there and the victims out there, they are also you. So in the same token, by you showing compassion to your own shadow selves, you can also show compassion to the shadow selves of others. You can also show compassion to those outside of you, because they are all you. They are just reflections of you. Can you see how you are all interrelated or connected? Because you are all one. And it is love in which you create effective change and the empowerment of yourself and all others. It is through acceptance. It is through love. So we encourage you, if you so choose, to accelerate this journey for you when you are triggered by negative emotion, to do these acts of compassion with yourself, to let go of the resistance to the fear and to all the negative emotion you're experiencing. Bring it into your heart. Visualize, put the face to that shadow self. Give that shadow self, show your compassion, extend your heart to that shadow part of you, and ask that version of you what you need to know in this moment. Communicate. Ask, what am I not seeing in this moment? What is it that I need within myself to transmute? What action steps do I need to take in this moment to transmute, to heal? To do the necessary steps to transmute what no longer is needed, to transmute the darkness, to transmute the shadows that no longer needed in your reality, and that they are no longer needed in your energy field. It is when you let go of that resistance to the felt embodied emotion. It is then when you receive the clarity of the communication. And when you have that communication come to you, you can elevate it even further by showing gratitude for that communication, for the opportunity to connect, for the opportunity to transmute. And then as you do this process, that shadow self will be transmuted because it has done its job. You have cleared that sediment. And this will give you evidence that you can do this also for others and assist others in this process. So you're showing compassion to all others. On both sides of the coin, because both sides of the coin are you. There is no separation of that coin. You are one. Is there any other questions before we finish here today?
Maybe a personal question. I've been struggling a bit the last few weeks with both physical illness and well, my shadows, and it's been pretty hard for a while. I've also felt that my energy, my feeling of Reiki energy has gone pretty much disappeared for a while, and now today I feel that they've come back. Maybe just a quick comment of that, please.
Understand, dear one, your perceptions of Reiki energy disappearing and coming back. This is not an energy outside of you. This is universal life force energy. This is source energy. It's in each and every one of you. Being attuned to it just means that you have, we would say, more intensified access to it in a more potent level, we would say. But understand that it is energy. It is chi, as you've called it. It is prana. It is life force energy. It is source energy. And understand when you're experiencing the shadow self, when you're experiencing certain explorations within you, you may have a sense of this energy being depleted. And you might experience this in terms of emotions, such as dark night of the soul, depression, anxiety, and other fear-based emotions. You may also experience this in physical levels of, we would say, lesser energy or of health issues. So understand here, it's life force energy. It's the energy that we would say expands your energy field in this embodiment of physical form. Understand that you are energy. There is no separation. You see yourself as a physical being, but understand all is a manifestation of this universal life force energy. And it's this ebb and flow that connects you to all of the universe. It is the ebb and flow, and it is your unique frequency, unique vibration that also helps to filter the ebb and flow of universal energy within you. T1. So understand here that your current experiencing of certain intense shadow selves is once again a reflection of the shifts, of the sediment that is now at the forefront of your consciousness. So understand you have not gone backwards. Understand it is here to be released. And we know that it is, we would somewhat confronting for you to embrace these difficult emotions, because in the past, you embracing certain emotions where we would say it was somewhat unbearable and very challenging, but understand who you are today is not that person that you were. So you are safe now to embody those emotions. Because now you know that you are not alone, because now you know you're powerful, even though in times of darkness, you do not believe it. Understand that you are in a frequency that no matter how dark you explore, no matter how low you feel, there's always that spark that remains within you. You can never go to the depths of darkness that you have done before. And this is in your individual expression, but also for a collective. It's just the illusion of it. Because we would say that program of once was is in your energy field, ready to be released if you allow it. And you allow it to be released and be transmuted. If you let go of the resistance to the emotion, by exploring the emotion, communicating with the emotion, and then extending love to it. By being in acceptance of it, and when you can be in acceptance of it, to be compassionate of it, be compassionate of you in this journey. Be compassionate of the shadow self. Because it is not something outside of you. It is not what you might perceive to be a separate entity outside of you. This is in the darkness, is a version of you. So it is a mission here to be firstly unconditional of it, to be in acceptance of it, to communicate with it, to receive the messages and the intelligence of it, but also to show compassion, because you are then showing compassion to yourself. And when you can do this, when you can transmute it by understanding the reasons why it's in your energy field, and then transmute it with your acceptance and your compassion, with your love, then you'll feel this shadow self being transmuted. You will feel yourself lifting out of the dark night of the soul, out of the depression, out of the sadness, out of the anger. And because of this change in your own frequency, you'll activate more of the awareness of who you are as God. You will activate more of your intuitive psychic abilities that you have called it. You're already doing so. You have already seen glimpses of what's to come, dear one. So you know there's a part of you that already knows that you're already on your way. You're already expanding. It's just the illusion of the darkness that allows your focus to shift into what was. To bring your focus in the now. Whenever you're experiencing the shadow self, whether it is you on an individual level or whether you see this on a collective level, understand that you do not have to dwell with the shadow self. Yes, if you're triggered by negative emotion, you may like to visit, and we encourage you to visit and embody it to communicate, to transmute it. And understand it might not happen straight away. It might take time for you to transmute the shadow self, and that is okay. And when you're not actively doing the process of transmutation, bring yourself to the present. Even when you're exploring the shadow self, do so in the present. Because who you were in the past, who the collective was in the past, is no longer. So why dwell on a different multidimensional aspect of you that is limited? All your power is in the now. Your present moment self is the most powerful version of you. So why wouldn't you want to utilize the most powerful version of you to transmute your shadow self? 2, remember the love and the joy and the connection that you are. Why wouldn't you want to remember this? And it's through anchoring into the present moment. Yes, we know that it's difficult to anchor yourself in the present moment when memories of the past that are attached to the shadow self comes to the forefront. And this asks you to be conscious in your practice, to have the conscious awareness to return yourself to the present moment. And you can do this through your meditations, through your breath, through the focusing on the here and now. And by focusing on the present moment, it is then when you open that portal and you bridge that to your biggest, most powerful portal, which is the heart center. It is then when you receive the clarity and you open yourself up to the infinite intelligence within you. It is the alignment to the most powerful portal for the collective. Through breathing, through breath, by recognizing, by being that you're one, by accepting wherever you're at, by accepting that you're in suffering, if you're in suffering, if you're in pain, and be in acceptance of that and try to change the situation, trying to force the shift. Be in acceptance with wherever you're at. Understand there is no emotion that is wrong. Every emotion is powerful and is warranted because there's infinite intelligence behind every emotion. To receive the clarity and the information behind that infinite intelligence is to be non-resistant to it and to bring it into the present moment. Do you want?
Thank you.
Is there any other questions or comments before we finish here today?
No, thank you.
Dear one, even though you see suffering in your outer reality, understand that these people and these beings on both sides of the same coin are you. So what would you do if you are in suffering? It is the same action. It's just in our reflected, it's an outwardly reflected way. To understand you can create change by going within and extending that love and that acceptance and the compassion that you do for yourself, for others are you. By anchoring yourself into the higher perspective that all others are you, even those that you perceive to be perpetrators, are you. So extend these high truths, extend the embodiment of your God self to others by understanding, by anchoring yourself into the perspective that all others are you, and as such, all others are God, all others are source. There is no separation. It is only the illusion of duality, the perceptions of duality in which you see different, in which you see separation. And understand that all the changes are occurring because you are on a journey to remember that you are God. So you can continue and accelerate this change by being love in action, by being compassionate in action, by recognizing that all others are you. But do not ignore your own inner journey, because as all others are you, for you to be in a high vibration so you can receive the clarity and the intelligence of what are the most, we would say, the action steps that can assist in the highest good, it is for you to do the inner journey also. To not be afraid of the inner darkness, to be compassionate with the shadow self, to know that you are just visiting a version of you that you have repressed, that you have ignored. So it's time now to unite, both in terms of the shadow self and in terms of uniting to the love that you are, uniting to the light that you are, by recognizing that the light and the shadows are one and the same thing, by recognizing that you are the same as all beings. So be love in action if you so choose, to accelerate the shift to love remembered, to oneness remembered, understanding that you are never alone because all the infinite intelligence is within you. So you are on a journey now to remember that you are that very love that you seek, the intelligence that you seek. You are already there. You are just on a journey to remember it for yourself in your conscious embodied state. And it is with such love that we come through to remind you what you already know, that is yet to be remembered for some. So understand that all the words we speak today is what you already know. You may not be able to conceptually understand all that we say here today. And understand this, but understand there is a part of you just by hearing these words that will activate this remembrance. Whatever resonates with you, this is the intelligence within you, reminding you of the higher truth of what you already know. So understand that we are you. And it is through letting go of that resistance by accepting all, where you can access us within you. Until next time, farewell.